I am the fake princess. When the real princess returned to the palace, I thought I was doomed. To my surprise, from the emperor and empress down to the palace maids and nannies, everyone unanimously declared that I was the real princess and drove her out of the palace. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. My name is Achi, and I am the princess's personal maid. I am about the same size as the princess. Occasionally, she would sneak out of the palace, and I would dress up to look like her and stay in her room to avoid being discovered by the emperor and empress. Princess Layun is the legitimate daughter of the empress and the only daughter of the current emperor. As such, she is deeply cherished and holds an extremely noble status. Getting whatever she desires, however, she doesn't seem satisfied with life in the palace and often sneaks out. Every time she returns, she would excitedly tell me, "Achi, you have no idea how free life is outside the palace, and how bustling the markets in the common world are, but father and mother never let me go out, saying it's dangerous outside. Sigh, is life among the common people lively? Why do I only feel poverty, helplessness, and hunger?" Back then, because our family had no food to eat, in the bitter cold of winter, my younger siblings were so hungry they ate snowballs, frozen to the point they couldn't even cry. That's when mother gritted her teeth and sold me into the palace as a maid, just to get a little silver to buy rice and flour. The palace is truly wonderful, there's always steaming hot food, and even a lowly maid like me can eat her fill at every meal. I can even save a little from my monthly wages and send it home. My parents sent word that life is much better now, and my younger siblings can finally have warm meals. How comfortable the princess's life is, she has everything she wants. The night pearls from the southern tribute, as big as my head, she doesn't even care for them, just tells me to put them wherever. I don't understand why the princess would prefer the hard life of the common folk. The princess has sneaked out of the palace again. In the past, she would return in high spirits. But this time it's different. She sits by the window every day, sighing and lamenting, not even reading her favorite storybooks anymore. If only I weren't a princess, Achi. But your highness, your life is so blessed. The emperor and empress dote on you so much. They always send the best things to you first. Even the crown prince envies you. I'm like a canary, trapped in this palace with no freedom at all. What's the point of all the gold, jewels, and delicacies? The princess raged, smashing and throwing things around the room, leaving a mess everywhere. I didn't dare say more, just knelt and silently cleaned up, feeling heartbroken. These gold-inlaid plates, probably even the county magistrate couldn't afford them, shattered into pieces. This pastry, so exquisitely made, was thrown before even a single bite was taken. My mother would never have the chance to taste such sweet delicacies in her lifetime. Looking at the angry princess, I couldn't understand where her resentment came from. In the evening, the empress arrived. Perhaps the nanny had told her that the princess was throwing a tantrum. Seeing the pouting princess with tear stains on her face, the empress's eyes were almost overflowing with heartache. "My precious Yuna, what's wrong? Who made you angry? Tell your mother, and I'll help you vent your anger." "Mother, I don't want to marry the Prime Minister's youngest son. I don't want to. The Prime Minister's youngest son, Jiang Chen, is handsome and elegant, a worthy match for you. Moreover, he is willing to take on a nominal post to marry you. This is the most suitable choice your father and I have found after carefully selecting from the sons of noble families. In this dynasty, once a princess marries her consort, he can only hold a nominal position, and his political career ends there. That is why many young men from noble families do not wish to become a consort. The Prime Minister has 2 sons. The eldest is already serving in the court, while the youngest, Jiang Chen, has little enthusiasm for an official career. The emperor has also decided to build the princess's residence not far from the palace, so the princess can return to the palace anytime after marriage, easing their longing for their daughter. It truly is the best choice. I will not marry no matter what you say. I have someone in my heart. The princess, ignoring the queen's explanation, said furiously. It turned out that the princess had sneaked out of the palace several times before and met a scholar named Gu Yuanji. She was so captivated by his literary talent and demeanor that she had reached the point where she would marry no one but him. She had secretly tested him, asking if he would be willing to marry the princess if given the chance. But Gu Yuanji said his lifelong goal was to become an official, to be enfeoffed as a prince and appointed as a minister, and he would not give up his career for the sake of a princess. No wonder the princess was so downcast and melancholy after she returned last time. It was because of this. "Mother, I would rather be an ordinary person than be this princess." Hearing the princess humble herself so much for a scholar, The queen was furious. "Your father and I have loved you so dearly, cherished you like the apple of our eye, and you can say you don't want to be a princess for the sake of a man? It seems you've truly been spoiled." The queen ordered the princess to be confined to her chambers to cool off and reflect. On the second day of her confinement, the princess drugged me, put on my maid's uniform, and sneaked out of the palace. When the emperor and empress found out the princess had run away again, they flew into a rage and sent guards to bring her back. In response, the princess began a hunger strike, refusing even a drop of water for 3 days until she fainted. This time, the emperor and empress could no longer sit still. They compromised. After all, she was their precious daughter who had never suffered such physical hardship before. And it pained them to see her like this. The emperor told the princess that he could offer the Gu family a sum of money and a comfortable, easy job. As long as they treated the princess well, the Gu family would enjoy a lifetime of wealth and prosperity. But the princess was determined to refuse, insisting on giving up her royal status to accompany Gu Yuanji as an ordinary person, watching him enter officialdom, become a prince, and rise to the position of prime minister. "Yuna, do you really not want your father and mother anymore?" Upon hearing the princess's plan to leave the palace, the emperor and empress's defenses instantly crumbled, their voices trembling slightly. "Father, mother, please forgive your unfilial daughter. You still have the crown prince and my other brothers, but Yuanji has only me by his side." The princess's attitude was resolute. "Ha ha ha, fine, fine, fine." Seeing that he could not win back his daughter, the emperor said sternly, "I will wait here in the court and see how far you and that poor scholar can go." The queen, when sending the princess out of the palace, stuffed a bag full of gold and silver jewelry into her hands. After all, she was her beloved daughter of many years, and she couldn't bear to see her suffer. The princess took the package and walked away without looking back, as if she had been deeply wronged. Abandoning her status as a princess to elope with a poor scholar would be unacceptable even in an ordinary family, let alone the royal household. The emperor and the queen began to think about how to handle the aftermath. Perhaps they should simply announce to the public that the princess had died suddenly. At that moment, the queen noticed me standing aside and asked the matron if it was always me who pretended to be the princess to cover up her sneaking out of the palace. The matron replied that it was. I thought I was done for. Terrified, I dropped to my knees with a thud and didn't dare to look up for a long while. "Stand up. Let me have a look." Trembling, I rose to my feet. The queen looked me up and down, then had me lift my head for a closer inspection. After discussing something with His Majesty, they decided that I would impersonate the princess. My figure is quite similar to the princess's, and so is my face shape. Although my facial features are somewhat different, the princess has long lived deep within the palace and has had no contact with ministers or the prime minister's family. As long as my hairstyle and attire are the same, it should be no problem to pass myself off as her. After learning that I still had parents and siblings at home, the empress had the palace servants deliver a sum of silver to them, falsely claiming that I had fallen ill and passed away, and that this was the palace's compensation, and so, I became Princess Layun. Next month, I will marry in the princess's place, and from then on, the little palace maid He will no longer exist in this world. "My child, I've wronged you." The empress took my hand before leaving, gently stroking it, her eyes reddening. "From now on, you are the true Princess Layun, and you shall lack nothing that a princess deserves." Grievance. How could being a princess be a grievance? With silks and satins filling the palace, and delicacies from land and sea, it's a life ordinary people could only dream of in their entire lives. I couldn't be happier. That generous compensation will be enough for my parents to buy a bright, spacious house, ensuring they live without worries about food or clothing, peacefully for the rest of their days. My younger siblings won't have to go hungry anymore, and perhaps my brother can even attend school, aiming for scholarly honors in the future. With such a wonderful life, how could I possibly feel aggrieved? Just thinking about it makes me laugh with joy. Finally, the day of the grand wedding arrived. When I bid farewell to the emperor and empress, they earnestly advised me on everything as if I were their own daughter, telling me to return to the palace if I ever faced any grievances, promising to stand up for me. Such kind and gentle parents, how could the real princess bear to abandon them? I secretly vowed to be filial to the emperor and empress on behalf of the princess as well. The crown prince and my other royal brothers also knew the truth, fearing I might feel wronged, so they added a great deal to my dowry and sent it all to the princess's residence. The entire wedding left me utterly content. Who would have thought a wild pheasant could one day fly up a branch and become a phoenix? On the wedding night, I met my future husband, Jiang Chen, an elegant and handsome gentleman, just like the ones described in storybooks. How could the princess not have liked such a divine being? I suddenly grew curious about what her beloved, Guang, must be like. Princess, what are you thinking about? Jiang Chen's voice was also so pleasant, as gentle and smooth as jade. You are really good looking. Oh no, I accidentally spoke my mind. The matron told me to be cautious with my words and actions, and to mind my manners. Although I have the support of the emperor and empress, I must not lose the dignity of a princess and make a fool of myself for no reason. Haha. The princess is more interesting than I imagined, not as domineering as the rumors say. His laughter was hearty, and it seemed that my future husband had a sunny personality. Life after marriage was plain yet warm. Afraid of giving myself away, I had been cramming all kinds of poetry and studying the arts of the zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. Fortunately, the real princess wasn't skilled in these areas either, so I gradually caught up. Jiang Chen never doubted that I was a fake princess. Largely because even after our marriage, the emperor and empress continued to treat me with great care, frequently bestowing gifts as if I were truly their own daughter. To repay this kindness, I often entered the palace to keep them company. When the empress fell ill, I attended to her day and night without even changing my clothes. According to the nanny, the empress had once sent people out of the palace to search for the princess. The Jiu family was poor, struggling to make ends meet for daily expenses. Yet the princess stubbornly refused the gold and silver sent from the palace and was unwilling to reveal her royal identity, content with her humble life. After being rejected 2 or 3 times, when the palace sent people again, the princess had already avoided meeting them. The empress was utterly disappointed and never again brought up the matter of persuading the princess to change her mind. I once subtly asked Jiang Chen if he regretted sacrificing his future prospects by becoming the emperor's son-in-law. Jiang Chen said it didn't matter to him. He had an older brother who was thriving in his official career, bearing all the pressure. This left him free and unburdened, able to do as he pleased, writing poetry, practicing swordplay, traveling to scenic spots, truly carefree and content. And besides, I have such a beautiful wife by my side. What more could I ask for? His words made me blush crimson with embarrassment. The sky was high and clear, the days peaceful and serene. Just when I thought life would remain this peaceful, an unexpected change occurred. This change, surprisingly, was related to a person, Guang. When the real princess ran away from the palace, she once said that Guang's lifelong goal was to become an official, to be enfeoffed as a prince and appointed as a minister. Unexpectedly, this man was all talk and no action. Despite taking the imperial exams multiple times, he never passed, seeing his political career hopeless. He bitterly denounced the corruption of the examination system and the cheating of the examiners, then defected to the embrace of the enemy state, Nanyu. By some means, he actually managed to secure a decent official position. Now, the southern Yu kingdom has stirred up trouble at the border, capturing 3 cities in a row. The enemy is very familiar with our border defenses, and it seems Guang has contributed significantly to this. The court was immediately thrown into chaos. And Jiang Chen also spent several consecutive days at the prime minister's residence, discussing strategies with his elder brother. Soon, the court dispatched troops to the border. The 2 nations were evenly matched, and for a time, a stalemate ensued. The year-end soon arrived. The southern Yu soldiers, unable to adapt to the cold weather, were full of complaints. Seeing that they couldn't capture the cities anytime soon, southern Yu sent an envoy to request peace talks. In a few days, the envoy would arrive in the capital. Here, the court officials were also on high alert, as we had lost 3 cities and were uncertain what conditions the other side would demand. Among the list of envoys, Guang was notably included, and he was placed at the top, suggesting he had ill intentions. In the evening, an unexpected visitor arrived at the princess's residence, presenting a name card with only 2 words, a chi. There had long been no such person as a chi in the world. Aside from those who had closely served the princess in the palace, only the real Princess Layun would know. I calculated the time and realized it had been 3 years since we last met. Even though I had mentally prepared myself, I was still a bit shocked when I saw the real princess, dressed plainly and looking weary. She bore no resemblance to the dignified and elegant princess of the past. She looked just like an ordinary woman. Princess. The nanny was even more emotional than I was. She rushed forward and, upon seeing the princess in such a sorry state, burst into tears. Achi, I knew it had to be you. I came to the princess's residence hoping to get lucky, and it really is you. The royal princess broke free from the nanny's grasp and went straight to sit in the main seat without any hesitation, as if she were still the haughty princess of old. "Princess, it's been a long time. What brings you here? After all, we were once master and servant." So basic courtesy and politeness were still in order. Noticing the coldness and distance in my tone, the real princess immediately said disdainfully, "What, just because you're using my identity, you think you're really a princess now? Don't you know your own worth? Your Highness, please be cautious with your words. Back then, you left without a word. If it weren't for Archie taking your place, the Emperor and Empress would have had to announce the princess's sudden death. Now, Archie is the true Princess Layun." The nanny, who knew the whole story, couldn't help but defend me. Moreover, the princess had broken the Empress's heart, causing her to lie ill in bed for a long time, and the nanny was also angry on the Empress's behalf. All right, there's no point in talking to you all. I came today for a reason." After not seeing her for years, the princess had become even more harsh. It seemed life with Guang hadn't been easy for her either. Since learning that Guang had stirred up trouble in Nanyu, the emperor had sent people to investigate. Guang, having failed the imperial examination, moved with his family to Nanyu, though it was said to be the whole family. The Gu household was not large. His father had passed away early, leaving only his mother. The orphan and widow had always lived a difficult life. The real princess borrowed my identity and name, claiming to be a palace maid called Chi, who had been sent to the palace as a child due to her family's poverty. She willingly followed Guang without status or recognition, and because she never revealed her true identity, Gu's mother never treated her kindly. At first, Guang, mindful that the real princess had eloped with him, treated her sincerely. The two shared a period of poverty but mutual affection. It wasn't until they entered Nanyu that, by chance, he caught the eye of the Nanyu princess. It seems Guang was indeed handsome, captivating princesses from both kingdoms. Nanyu had long been eyeing our country with ambition and was eager to recruit talent. With the Nanyu princess's recommendation, Guang smoothly secured an official position and did quite well for himself. At Guang's strong instigation, the kingdom of Nanyu suddenly launched an attack on the border between the two countries, catching our soldiers off guard and resulting in the loss of 3 cities. I wonder what role the real princess played in this matter. After all, it is her own motherland. While extreme actions for the sake of love might be understandable, she probably wouldn't harm her own country for the sake of an enemy nation, would she? "What is it, princess? Please speak." I looked at the princess calmly, unsure of the reason for her late-night visit. "I've already told Yuanji that I am the true princess of Northern Wei, whatever the Nanyu princess promised him. I can offer the same." It turned out that ever since Guang got involved with the princess of Nanyu, she had become a thorn in the Gu family's side. Guang naturally wouldn't give up the wealth and status offered by the princess, and his mother didn't want her to hinder her son's bright future. Her life became unbearable. She was burdened with endless dirty and exhausting work, and every day, Gu's mother imposed strict rules on her. Finally, unable to bear it any longer, the real princess revealed to Guang that she was Princess Layun of Northern Wei, assuring him that if he returned to Northern Wei with her, her father and mother would surely treat him well. Suddenly having 2 princesses by his side, Guang felt a bit lightheaded. Believing that he had finally been blessed by fate, he decided to take the real princess back to Northern Wei to negotiate, seizing the opportunity to secure a promising future for himself. Archie. "Ever since I heard that Princess Layun married the youngest son of the Prime Minister, I guessed it was you who took my place as the princess. After all these years of master-servant affection, I came to tell you to quickly think of a way out. Otherwise, when it's announced in the Grand Hall tomorrow that I am the true princess, your fate will be miserable." The true princess seemed to have already envisioned the wonderful days ahead after reclaiming her title, her tone dripping with undisguised contempt for me, a princess of a nation, now so bitter and sharp-tongued for the sake of a man, solely focused on securing his future and wealth, even willing to go to an enemy country. I wonder if the Emperor and Empress would be heartbroken to see you like this. Unable to bear her attitude any longer, I asked the matron to see her out immediately. The matron, also stunned by the changes in her over the years, spoke with heartache and disappointment, sternly saying, "Please leave, you bunch of wretched servants. Just wait until tomorrow when my father recognizes me again. I'll make sure you pay for this." The real princess, furious and speaking rudely, was immediately thrown out of the princess's residence by the matron. "So, This was Gu Yuanji's plan all along during the negotiations, to reveal my identity as the fake princess tomorrow when receiving the envoys, allowing the real princess to return. He would still enjoy endless wealth and honor, and with his close relationship with the princess of Nanyu, he might even please both sides and enjoy the blessings of two women. I quickly found Jiang Chen and pulled him along to enter the palace overnight to discuss countermeasures with my father and mother. On the way to the palace, I told Jiang Chen that my name is He, that I am an imposter princess, and that the real princess is about to return. Jiang Chen, I'm sorry, I deceived you. Jiang Chen was the one who had been innocently deceived. After a moment of silence, Jiang Chen pulled me into his embrace and said softly, "Silly girl, whether you are a Qi or Layun, it was only you who exchanged vows with me and entered the bridal chamber. Moreover, after all these years together, I know your character and who you are. Whether you are a princess or not, you are my wife. Whatever happens, we'll face it together." Yes, that's great. Over the years, I've thought about telling Jiang Chen that I'm not a princess, but I was greedy for his warmth and worried about causing unnecessary trouble for His Majesty and the Empress, so I kept it bottled up inside. Now, this heavy burden in my heart has finally been lifted. And all I can do is wait and see how things unfold in the future. Inside the palace, when His Majesty and the Empress learned of this matter, they were furious. His Majesty even smashed the inkstone beside him in anger, frightening me so much that I didn't dare to breathe. How could I have raised such an ungrateful wretch, this unfilial daughter? For the sake of an outsider, he would not hesitate to betray us, and now he even expects me to grant him wealth and glory, in his dreams. Our northern Wei has lost 3 cities, and I haven't even settled the score with them yet. It infuriates me, this unfilial daughter of mine. Cough, cough, cough. Overwhelmed by rage, His Majesty broke into a violent coughing fit and collapsed into his chair. Everyone rushed to his side, patting his back to help him catch his breath. The Empress, watching His Majesty's despondent state, couldn't hold back her tears. She tightly grasped my hand, trembling as she asked, "My child, what should we do? What should I do?" I gently helped the Empress sit down and instructed the nanny to brew some calming tea. After both the Emperor and Empress drank it, everyone's mood gradually settled. Jiang Chen stepped forward and said, "Your Majesties, if Princess Layun reveals her identity in the Grand Hall tomorrow, it will inevitably provoke criticism from the ministers and give Nanyu grounds for gossip. I once thought Layun was merely young and irrational from her first taste of love, but I never expected her to stray so far off course, going to such lengths for a man. Enough, consider that I never had this daughter. No matter what she says tomorrow, I will not acknowledge her." The Emperor was clearly utterly disappointed with the true princess. After hearing His Majesty's words, the Empress also said sorrowfully, "Over the years, we have indeed spoiled Layun too much. More than a decade of nurturing and care, and she abandoned it all without a second thought. Back then, she left so resolutely, and now she wants to return to the palace, still only for that man's wealth and status, without a single thought for us. If the kindness of parents and the bond of upbringing mean nothing to her, then so be it. We no longer want her either." Knowing the attitude of His Majesty and the Empress, my inner worries lessened considerably. As long as we firmly deny that she is the princess, she won't be able to stir up much trouble. His Majesty summoned the envoys from Nanyu in the main hall, and both Jiang Chen and I were required to be present. This is my first time meeting the legendary Gu Yuanji. Indeed, he is handsome and elegant, standing tall and spirited in his official robes, not losing out to Jiang Chen. No wonder he managed to attract the affections of 2 princesses. The real princess was also in the envoy's entourage. Although she was meticulously dressed up, she couldn't hide her weary appearance, and her eyes were filled with shrewd calculation. The Emperor and Empress on the throne clearly noticed this. Their brows tightly furrowed. "Your Majesty, I am Gu Yuanji, the envoy from Nanyu. Before the formal negotiations begin, allow me to introduce someone to everyone." Gu Yuanji's smug expression made me want to step forward and punch him. I didn't expect him to be so impatient. Arranging this show so quickly, the Emperor's brows furrowed into a deep frown, and the Empress was also struggling to contain her emotions. After receiving the Emperor's approval, Gu Yuanji invited the real princess to step forward. "Your Majesty, this is my wife, Aki. She bears a striking resemblance to an old acquaintance. Do you recognize her?" Since the matter had been discussed in advance, the Crown Prince and the other princes were already aware of the situation. Everyone in the hall remained silent. The anticipated scene of a tearful reunion and father-daughter recognition did not unfold, Both Guang and the real princess were stunned. Why was this so different from what they had imagined? Father, mother, I am Layun, your precious daughter. Seeing that no one responded, the real princess took the initiative to reveal her identity. Royal brothers, my dear brothers, I am your biological sister, Layun. As soon as these words were spoken, the ministers erupted into an uproar, whispering and discussing among themselves. Did she just say who she is? Princess Layun, what's going on? Why is there another princess all of a sudden? Isn't Princess Layun supposed to be in front? I never heard His Majesty had two princesses. She looks quite similar to the princess. If she's the princess, then who is the one marrying the Prime Minister's son? Everyone's gaze shifted back and forth between me and the real princess. Unable to understand what was happening, I nervously clenched my fists, my nails digging deep into my palms. Noticing my nervousness, Jiang Chen gently held my hand and whispered in my ear, "Don't be afraid, I'm here with you." Looking into his warm, smiling eyes, I gradually relaxed. Yes, there's nothing to fear, with Jiang Chen, and with father and mother. Everyone is here. How dare you? Who are you to impersonate my princess? My daughter Layun is right here. Do you think just anyone can be a princess? Guang, how dare you and your southern you play such a trick on me? The emperor's fury silenced everyone in the hall. No one dared even to breathe. Recalling that this was a deception by southern you, they all glared angrily at Guang and the false princess, feeling deeply mocked, seeing the emperor's reaction. The false princess frantically recounted past events, trying to reawaken her father's former affection and prove that she was the true princess, but seeing her once doting father's face darken bit by bit without responding to her words, the real princess truly panicked. Even taking out a jade pendant she kept close to her. "Father, this is the jade pendant you gave me before, with the character Yun inscribed on it. It was crafted by the finest artisans you commissioned. The only one of its kind in the world. I've always kept it with me. Please look at me." Father, seeing this, His Majesty signaled with his eyes for me to step forward. "Chi, you are my personal palace maid. Back when you fled the palace, you stole a lot of gold and silver treasures. I suppose this jade pendant was among the things you stole at that time. We had discussed it last night, since the real princess had once falsely claimed to be Chi. We would firmly insist that she was the real Chi. This way, even if she knew about the princess's affairs and possessed the princess's tokens, it would still seem plausible. I don't know what deal you've made with the kingdom of Nanyu to slander this princess, but you are, after all, a citizen of Northern Wei. What good does it do you to harm your own country?" Hearing this, the crowd began to murmur and discuss. So she's the princess's maid. No wonder she knows so much about the princess. Nanyu is truly cunning, stirring up trouble before the negotiations. They must be trying to shake our army's morale. How dare a maid impersonate a princess? What was she thinking? Her Majesty the Queen has arrived. Amidst the murmurs of the crowd, the Queen entered the grand hall. She walked straight up to the real princess and slapped her across the face. "You, a mere maid. The princess has always treated you well, yet now you join forces with Nanyu to cause trouble for her. Do you have a death wish?" Then she came to my side, took my hand, and announced to the court officials, "This is the true Princess Layun. From now on, anyone who dares to speak ill of the princess will not be let off lightly." The appearance of the empress settled the matter of the true and false princess once and for all. After all, the empress's affection for the princess was well known to all. If she said the princess was real, then she must be real, in truth. Anyone with a bit of sense would realize that a fake princess would never dare to claim her identity before the emperor and empress unless she had no fear of death. But the emperor and empress had already made their stance clear. Whoever they declared to be the princess was the true princess. With this farce coming to an end, Guang finally understood. The princess was indeed real, but she had been abandoned by the emperor and empress. She could only remain as the palace maid, Chi. After all this commotion, Guang quickly knelt down and said, "Your Majesty, I was also deceived by this woman. I truly believed she was the princess and intended to reunite her with you. It was my failure to investigate thoroughly. I beg your Majesty, for the sake of Nanyu, to spare me." This tone is also an attempt to distance himself from the real princess, which makes me sick to my stomach. My gaze toward the real princess now carries a hint of pity. Back then, she abandoned her parents and her status as a princess just for this man, reducing herself to this state. I wonder if she regrets it now. The matter of the real and fake princesses came to an end. The real princess was taken away by the empress. As she was a palace maid who had fled from the Northern Wei court and could not be handed over to Southern Yu, The negotiations between the two countries ended almost as soon as they began. Guang and the diplomatic mission were directly expelled from the palace. Back then, when Nanyu attacked and captured 3 cities in a row, it was only because the incident was sudden. Although the two countries were at odds, they had maintained a superficial peace for years, so we were merely caught off guard. After deliberation, the ministers decided to deploy additional troops to the border to directly reclaim the cities. The military strength of our northern Wei has never been inferior to that of Nanyu, and we will no longer accept that pointless peace negotiation. The real princess was confined within the palace. The empress asked me to accompany her to see the princess. After all, she is her own flesh and blood, and it would be too cruel to take her life. Yuna, have you regretted anything over the years? The empress still couldn't bear it and gently untied the ropes on her, careful not to hurt her. Regret? It's all your fault. Why didn't you acknowledge me? Why didn't you let me return to the palace as a princess? Yuanji, now he only wants the princess of Nanyu, and doesn't want me anymore. It's all your fault, all your fault. After saying this, the real princess pushed the queen to the ground and ran toward the door. The nanny and I hurried forward to help the queen up. Even at this point, the real princess remained stubbornly unyielding. Love is greater than the heavens, it's truly beyond comprehension. The queen had completely given up as well. She ordered the doors to be locked tightly, forbidding the princess from taking even half a step out of the palace. If you can't come to your senses for the rest of your life, then you'll stay in there for the rest of your life. By the late spring of the following year, news of victory arrived from the border. All 3 cities had been reclaimed. And Nanyu had also paid a large sum of money and horses in compensation. The two countries temporarily returned to peace. I also secretly returned to the village a few times, watching my parents and younger siblings from a distance. Jiang Chen helped me inquire about them too. Their lives were going well now, with a house and land, and my younger siblings were even attending school. They had no worries about food or clothing. Jiang Chen once asked if I wanted to reveal my identity. But I refused. Their lives are good now, and we can still support them discreetly in the future. If they knew I hadn't died and had become a princess, it would frighten them. My parents are ordinary commoners, and getting involved with the royal family would be too much for them. What's more, if someone with ill intentions took advantage of the situation, it could lead to even more serious consequences. The life I have now is something I never dared to hope for in the past. Things are good as they are, truly good.